では続きまして金融庁総合政策局政策立案総括審議
Let us now call upon Mr. Horimoto Yoshio, Vice Commissioner for Strategy Development and Evidence-Based Policy Making Strategy Development and Management Bureau of the Financial Services Agency of Japan. Let's welcome him with a round of applause. Thank you for the introduction. I am the Vice Commissioner at the JFSA. My name is Horimoto. Congratulations on the occasion of the Tokyo Sustainable Finance Forum. I'm honored to be given this opportunity to speak to you at this forum. And FinCity Tokyo, the organizers, the participants, and all the stakeholders, thank you very much for your understanding and cooperation as we try to manage the financial sector from JFSA. Mr. Seba, in his opening remarks, gave you the details of the objective of the Japan Weeks. The core week is up to today, but many of you have participated, and I thank you for your contributions. I wish to use this opportunity to speak about what we are doing at the Financial Services Agency or by the larger Japanese government in the area of sustainable finance. There are 3 points I wish to highlight. First, when we talk about sustainable finance, in Japan, we have seen the kickoff of the rollout of sustainable finance, and therefore the status and the role Japan is playing is expanding on the global front. That's my first point. Second point, having said so, however, we need to take more initiatives in this area. The reason is, if I may touch upon the backdrop, decarbonization, especially in the area of decarbonization or in the area of transition finance, Japan and Asian countries are with enormous demand for finance. There is potential demand and there is real demand, and this demand can only grow in the future months and years ahead. And we need to respond to such rising demand. Another point, the Japanese government is trying to tackle social challenges, including decarbonization. We want to position them as engines for future economic growth. There are many projects underway in this area and many cases, and these projects have been launched, but they have not yet become true engines for growth. So that's another area we need to tackle with, which I will be touching upon in my presentation. Thirdly, impact investment. On the methodology of impact investment, we are studying what methods are underway. There is high interest. There will be higher interest in this area. Most recently, under the Ishiba administration that was just established, before that, when he was a candidate, he announced the framework of new economic policy. And one of his pillars, of the 5 pillars, was realization of an investment hub, investment major power. And that strategy includes expansion of impact investment, and that phrase was explicitly included in his manifesto. So that has attracted impact investment and will continue to attract interest. So those are the 3 points that I will labor on. The first point, as indicated on this PowerPoint, on the left, you see a chart that compares the ESG investment finance between the global market and the Japanese market. As is obvious at a glance, in 2016, Japan's share was only 2% of the global market. By 2022, the share of Japan has risen to 14% and it continues to grow. And in terms of volume, in 2016, the amount was $0.5 trillion, and in the 6-year period, it's grown by more than eightfold. During this period, of course, ESG investment has grown during that period as well, but especially in the most recent couple of years, the growth has been stagnant. In some countries, it's even declined. Regarding carbon neutral financing or ESG financing, greenwashing has become a major controversy, and that has had some impact. So, in comparison to the global market, in the recent years, the growth in Japan has been faster, and the role Japan plays on the global stage has become more significant. However, if we look at Asia, including Japan, the demand for finance is very high. Taking a look at this PowerPoint, first of all, on Japan, as you know, 150 trillion yen in the area of GX would be required at the minimum in the next 10 years. And on transition finance, for hard to immediately abate industrial sectors, there has to be transition finance. And the volume of investment required is gigantic. And there are many challenges in this sector, as indicated in this PowerPoint. At the transition stage, finance at that stage would be financing by processing and improving upon the existing technology and implement transition as an extension of conventional technology in the energy sector or energy-consuming sectors. The size of finance necessary is enormous, and therefore transition finance, much transition finance will be required for the investment. However, transition-led GX is very important for the Japanese government. The decarbonized society we are aiming to realize is, to speak grandly, the survival of humanity and social economic development. Like the final judgment of the Bible, we are not being, unlike the Bible, we are not selective. So, in that sense, transition finance has a very important position to play. But, speaking of transition finance, as you know, this is technically very difficult in terms of financial expertise. In order to provide transition finance, the client company has to be given good advice to be on the pathway towards decarbonization. That requires a robust business model, a sustainable business model, which will have to be achieved through management reform, which has to be managed well, and the commitments have to be fulfilled, and that is the obligation of the business companies. And there is technological advancement at the background, or the derivatives of the core technology, which are with much uncertainty. And the market, decarbonization market hasn't developed well yet. So in the midst of such uncertainty, there has to be a plan that would invite loans and investment. And those plans would have to be monitored, and financial institutions would have to support their client companies. So in comparison to normal plain vanilla loans, the level of difficulty is extremely high. So in terms of practice, there are many details that need to be worked out. There are many issues that need to be thought out in practical terms. And we don't yet have a critical mass of experience. So that's where we are today. But including indirect finance, we hope that you understand this is an important role for the financial institutions to play. So we truly hope that the financial institutions take up this area as opportunities for future growth. Based upon such thinking at the Financial Services Agency in 2022, we came up with a basic policy regarding sustainable finance. Not just risk management, but how financial institutions can communicate with investee companies and manage transition. Those subjects are covered. Late August this year, we came up with the policy of financial administration, and based upon this guidance, we will be monitoring what plans are implemented by financial institutions, and that's written in the guidance that we released. Due to time constraints, one more point. I've been focusing on Japan, but let's turn our eyes to Asia. Most recently, 2nd of October, Japan, ASEAN, Japan financial institutions and ADB and other international organizations got together to launch the Asian GX Consortium, and that was 2 days ago. And on that occasion, at the working level, various prep meetings had been conducted, and that had led to the interim step of defining the future direction of the consortium, and a working paper was released. These are the main messages. I've been touching upon this previously, but transition finance in Asia will offer many investment opportunities in the region, and in this consortium, many countries of Asia, or all ASEAN countries, and the whole of the region will be engaged as we try to promote transition finance. Of course, transition finance is a global challenge, so global discussions are underway, but we need to also be mindful of the Asian context as we discuss the future of transition finance, and the consortium is disseminating such information. Third point, once emissions reduction targets have been defined and plans have been defined by companies, of course, they have to be well financed in order to implement the plans. We haven't reached that stage yet, so there's not financing enough consistent with the reductions target. But companies have already begun initiatives, so even to those companies who have not yet fulfilled their targets, we need to provide GX-related support. And finally, blended finance will be the core of finance in this area. So the participating organizations are written at the bottom: ASEAN monetary authorities, ADB, GFANS, and Japanese financial institutions that are active in Asia. And this consortium discusses high-level principles, but that's not all. They engage in actual deals and track record of investment. They will touch upon the practical level, and one of the missions is to come up with the practical transactions as track records. So that's one objective of the consortium. Third point, impact investment. As I have been touching upon, under the new Ishiba administration, at yesterday's Asset Management Forum, the Prime Minister himself sent us a video message. Japan needs to become an asset management hub, and that policy has been taken over by the Ishiba administration. And at the same time, Ishiba's objective is to become an investment major power. One means to achieve that goal, which is receiving attention, is impact investment. If you can take a look at this PowerPoint, you will be able to well understand that much social impact is expected from the investment. And in order to realize those social effects, the investee and investor has to define the objective and the means, and that would have to be well managed to generate technological innovation. So this is investment to generate innovation. There are various different types of ESG, but as indicated on the left, selecting companies that are taking certain initiatives. So this is including specific technological innovation to create new business opportunities. So that's the basic thinking. And this impact investment, this has only started even on the global stage. There's very little history. So when it comes to the specific means of investment or market, more study has to be done. So it is the position of the Japanese government to create opportunities that would lead to impact investment and to establish a market and have as many stakeholders possible participate in the consortium. And such consortium has been established. As indicated on this PowerPoint, 4 subjects are being discussed at the consortium. Of highest priority is data or measurement indicator, development of data to make it usable, and market research. The Market Establishment Working Group is talking about how the market can be established, including listed companies. And in the regional market implementation working group, they are talking about the potentials in each localities. So these are the working groups that have been established under the Impact Consortium that are already active. That concludes my presentation, which focused on the 3 points. Again, on sustainable finance. Sustainable finance requires companies to change their business models. So, and in transition finance, destructive innovation may have to be accepted. So it is not easy to implement this as a means of finance technically. So we don't have enough cases yet. But on the other hand, although conceptual discussion of sustainable finance is also important, we need to increase the number of transactions and cases as quickly as possible. So in that sense, I believe that we will enter the second stage of sustainable finance. The government alone cannot do everything, so we need the support of the private sector and other stakeholders, and we need to work in partnership, and that is the mission of the Japanese government. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Horimoto.